Hello, hello, Stanislav in the house, coming at you live on YouTube from Manchester with my internet friend, CCR, Chris Castro-Rappl.
Chris Castro-Rappl. CCR is a little easier. I'm not in Manchester, so I have to be only your internet friend in order to do this, I guess.
Yeah. I was really practicing your name. The last time you were on the dive down, I butchered it then too. And today, my voice is failing me, so while we record this, I'm also going to be going hard on some cough drops.
It's okay. Sometimes I trip over it too, so nothing to be ashamed of.
So, once again, the fine folks at Wizards EU sent me some packs. They sent me so many packs. They sent me these draft boosters. Look at all these draft boosters. There's 100 draft boosters.
They never send me free packs.
Well, because you're in America.
Yeah.
They sent me this pre-release kit we're going to open today. They sent me some set boosters, my personal favorite booster pack. And they even sent me 3 collector boosters.
Ooh. So I haven't opened collector boosters in a while. I was inspired to open collector boosters when Strixhaven came out because I really love the Mystical Archive. And, the various showcase versions. I think the Mystical Archive is my favorite one of them, but I'm down to open some of these, see the showcase versions, since they have a collection of all of them for the Multiverse Legends.
Agreed. We're playing the Ragavan lottery today. I don't know if we will have time to open all of these packs, but I will say that we're absolutely opening at least one collector booster before this video's up.
Yeah,
and if we get to make more videos for the rest of these packs in the not so distant future, all the better. But let's start with this pre-release pack, shall we?
Yeah. And I mean, we're probably not going to get there as many packs as you want to, because every time I start talking about cards, I keep talking about cards and struggle to stop. So, and I've played a bunch of limited of this format too, so I already have stories about most of these cards.
Look at this beautiful purple dye. Love that. Yeah, so that's why I asked you to come here, Chris, because I want to talk about these cards. I too have been drafting this set like a madman. One of my favorite draft formats
It's good. It's fun.
Certainly in 2023. I think the last time I drafted a set this much was not Strixhaven. There was one after Strixhaven that I really liked. Maybe it was Strixhaven.
Strixhaven was fun. It certainly wasn't an all-timer for me. But
it was Neo. It was
Neon
Dynasty.
Neo was great.
I drafted the heck out of that one. So
this one has especially been a breath of fresh air after All Will Be One, which was not the ideal format, but this one has a lot going for it.
All right, so we got an Invasion of Chandalar. Okay, I don't even know what this one does. Put a permanent card from your hand onto the battlefield. I have not played with this card in any format yet.
So, yeah, the front side of it returns 3 permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand, which, unfortunately, a lot of times when you look at your limited deck and you realize that most of the cards you want to return to your hand are spells. So, this one, for being the 5-mana Mythic Rare, is not always the ideal pick, but I have put it in a deck or two. It's been fine. Flipping it is less exciting than with some of the other battles.
Here's another card I've never played with because these are only Commander legal, right? These the 3 pre-release promos. When I did the pre-release, they even said it's the one card you're not allowed to put in your deck.
So I actually am not able to read the cards on the image. So if you can read the name of the card, then that would help me out.
Yeah, no doubt. This is Goro and Satoru. Who are these people? I don't even recognize these characters from the lore.
Goro is from... so they're from Kamigawa. So Goro was, I think, only had a card in Neon Dynasty, and he's that 2-mana 2/2 that can give your creatures haste, and then you can pay 5 mana to make a 5/5 dragon, and you can only activate that if you control an attacking modified creature. I need to type in who Satoru is. Oh, Satoru Umezawa. So yeah, these Commander only Multiverse Legends cards. I was talking about this on the podcast this week actually, which is that like when cards don't go through limited, they don't really exist in my brain. If I haven't drafted them or played with them in Standard or Pioneer or Modern, then you really are going to have to put them in front of me for me to know what they are.
Yes, I totally agree. Like the fact that these, like they're not Modern, Standard, or Pioneer legal, right? Like these are Commander cards that go into Eternal formats. So maybe the Legacy fans will like it. By the way, YouTube watchers, if you're the first person to grab this code, leave a comment on the YouTube channel. Let us know you got it. It's yours. Have fun.
I won't take it, as tempted as I am.
I'm pretty sure you're only allowed to do it once, right? Like I've already used my pre-release code.
Yeah, you can only use one pre-release code on an account, and I'm usually too lazy to actually go find a pre-release code most of the time.
All right, let's start opening these packs. So, Chris, you are on a podcast called the Grindcast, and one of the reasons why I like listening to the Grindcast is because unlike the Dive Down, you also cover like Standard and other stuff that you and Lee are just interested in, including like Magic politics occasionally.
Now, see, the reason that I like listening to the Dive Down is because you guys are structured and stay on task, and I have an idea of what I'm going to hear when I tune in. So I don't know how much I would like listening to my own podcast, honestly, but we can only talk about the things that we're thinking about.
Dude, I hate listening to the Dive Down. I actually listened to it today, but I don't do it every week. It's hard. It's certainly hard hearing my own voice.
Well, I edit my own episodes, so I am forced to it.
Okay, so we got a Blue Knight with Flying and Convoke. Like, this card is fine. I would draft this card in Blue-White Knights or just, like, any blue deck, really, just to have a flyer. I feel like having flyers is so important in this format. And the 4 toughness is super relevant, too. Like, you basically need a black removal spell to kill it.
Yeah, it's really nice. It is, you only have a certain number of slots for cards that say Convoke on them, and some of the other ones I generally prioritize over this, especially because Convoke is so much more powerful on instants, because then your creatures get to block or threaten to block, and then you get to use them to cast a spell. And so, Meeting of the Minds, the draw 2 with Convoke is, I kind of want more of my Convoke slots to be that, or the artistry card for blue that like counters a spell and draws 2, discards 1. I really like for my Convoke slots to be more along the lines of that, but this one will fill in a pinch, and sometimes is a contributor to some like pretty bonkers curves. Every once in a while, it caps off just a super threatening start from Knights. Yeah.
So we're probably not going to actually talk about every single card because they can't all be good, but we're 2 for 2 now. Mirren Banesplitter. This is the red equipment flash. Oh, no, this is not what I thought it was. Never mind. This card is probably trash unless you have, like, that
it's
red.
Not the best.
Yeah.
It rarely makes my deck.
Maybe if you have that red legend that, like, makes tokens for every equipment attached to it, you can play this. But otherwise, I'm not ever putting this in my deck if I can avoid it.
Yeah, Valdoc? That can't be his name.
Valdoc. That sounds about right. Alabaster Host Sanctifier, 2 mana, 2/2 lifelinker. Like, this is usually on the cutting room floor unless I need a 2-drop.
I started out putting these in my decks because 2-drops are good, convoking is good, and having like filling your curve is powerful. But at some point, there's a certain level of card that's just not quite contributing enough. And Grizzly Bears, I think, ultimately are not quite there in this format.
Yeah, and this is like the format's version of a vanilla creature, basically. Like, even though it has lifelink, I don't think there's any truly vanilla creatures otherwise, and it's just like a 2-drop. Like, the Phyrexian type isn't super relevant either. Maybe if this was a knight, we could talk. I mean, this is filler.
Yeah.
Iridescent Blade Master.
Green isn't really about this, is one of the things about, like, a Grizzly Bear in green is even worse. You're not convoking as much in your green deck, so it's less important to be like purely on curve. And the 2-drop that I want to be playing, like the reason to be in green in this format is to play Portent Tracker on turn 2. And you're really hoping that that's most of your 2-drop slot is like triple Portent Tracker is like my best green decks have been doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, my other good green decks are also playing that Selesnya Brawler. I like the green-white tokens beatdown strategy as well.
Yeah. And the 3/1 that surveils when it ETBs or dies is also a better
Yeah.
2-drop than that in green.
Oh, yeah. No, that card is, like, insanely good, I actually think. That's a common, right?
Yes, yeah.
I think that might be the best green common, or one of. All right, Temporal Cleansing. Here's a blue sorcery convoke spell. I've never put this in my deck. I haven't played a ton of like blue spells decks. I'm mostly just playing like when I'm playing blue, it's usually to play knights, I find. And
Well, this card I would say is quite good in Knights. Just the flexibility. You know, you're rarely tapping all creatures or all lands to cast this spell, but what it really does is it allows you to double spell on turn, 4 or 5. And there's a lot of creatures that, like, if your opponent untaps with them is pretty bad for you, but if you clear them out of the way for cheaply, even, and this doesn't put it just on top, it's at least 2 turns away before you have to deal with it. Again, a limit to the number of convoke cards that you can put in your deck, but this one I've been pretty happy with. If you have a low enough curve, are aggressive, and you just need to clear some stuff out of the way. It's no far as Dispersal, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, I feel like I'd sooner play Dispersal or just one of the white removal spells like Cut Down over this. But I think if you don't have true removal, this is serviceable.
Yeah, I mean, and it's really dependent on if you're leaning towards attacking or blocking. Cut Down, great if you're blocking. Doesn't do anything if you're trying to get damage through.
Yeah. All right. So this is really bad unless you have that like bird that taps for blue and a colorless, right? Like, are you ever playing this?
Omen. Yeah. So I have played a copy in a handful of decks and actually been happy with it because there's so many rares in this format, and sometimes you just got to kill them. And if you don't have access to enough removal and you're planning on playing long games, then this can be accepted. I'm not excited to put it in a deck, but I think it's not as bad as you might think.
So here's a card that I actually kind of like for a 2-drop. The fact that it makes your opponent discard a card, but this is also a card that I really love putting in my red-black sack decks. Like, this is awesome sack fodder and a great way to like sometimes just accumulate card or board advantage depending on what you're doing in your sack strategy.
My only like caveat there is that the sacrifice deck mostly exists at the uncommon level. Like the cards that actually sacrifice creatures and pay you off for them mostly exist at the uncommon level, unfortunately. So that deck doesn't come together as often as you would hope. And so like getting shipped Nezumi Informants late in a pack 1 doesn't mean that red-black sacrifice is open. It just means that they aren't valuing the cheap black cards. But there's a lot of decent uses for this body that takes a card from your opponent on the way in, and it's a completely fine black common. I'm happy to have several copies in my deck.
Yeah, I think this is the best 2-drop we've seen so far of the derpy 2-drops we've looked at. I've never put this card in my deck. It seems horrible.
Yeah, this is not what the format's about.
I can only see myself. I can maybe convince myself to play this if like I feel like I'm weak to flyers, because I constantly lose to opponents like having more unanswered flyers than I can deal with.
Yeah, but a 6-drop that is doing that is like you're gonna get it temporal cleansing or something, right? Yeah. Like it's just not actually a solution to that problem.
Here's a decent removal spell. Like, it's instant speed. For 3 mana, it's serviceable, but you're usually paying 2 or less for it.
Yeah,
I'd play it.
And again, instant speed convoke card, it often costs 0 mana, and that, not only is that really efficient, but it also, your opponent thinks you have shields down, and they commit to a play, they pump a creature when you block, and you're just able to get the full blowout.
Bang, bang. All right, Halo Forager. Now, although I haven't drafted this card yet, I have drafted Dimir, but I've never actually pulled this off. This is a card that we were talking about for Constructed. Like, we were on the dive down, we were talking about, like, is this extra copies of Rhinos? Is this extra copies of Living End? I don't think it's made the cut in Constructed yet. Have you played with it? You are our Living End aficionado. What did you think about this?
It's not exciting to me in Living End. I am also not, like, particularly enthused about it in Rhinos, but I'm not an expert on that deck by any means. I mean, most notably, it contributes to blue-black being the best color combination in the draft format. I think that since two of Blue Black's uncommons are Halo Forager and Invasion of Amonkhet, anytime you figure out that you're the only person drafting Blue Black and then you get any Halo Foragers or Invasion of Amonkhets that get opened in the draft, like that's one of the reasons that the deck has like, you know, an over 60% win rate on 17 lands. And so that's the most notable Halo Forager thing. Also reasonably playable in Standard. So it's, you know, sideboard card in the grindy mirrors.
All right, our first rare, Archpriest of Shadows. I actually have drafted this card, funny enough, though I've never gotten its attack trigger to work. So this is the one, deals combat damage to a player or battle, return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. I mean, I would play it in a black deck, but
I mean,
it's
like,
a rare, right? Like it's
the
just
card
like
is the text is a little misleading because really what it is like backup death touch and must be blocked if able. Mm-hmm. So it comes in, it kills something, like they have to then trade something for its body. It's like a little short of the Boon whatever Valkyrie, the Baneslayer Angel one, as far as like crazy backup cards go, but it's also like not particularly beatable. Yeah.
I mean, like there are rares that I would not put in my deck or even pass, but if I'm in black, like I'm drafting this and playing it.
No, it's legitimately a bomb.
So okay, here's a 1-drop that I really like.
Mm-hmm.
Tarkir Dune Shaper. It transforms into Burnished Dune Stomper, 4/3 Trampler. Like it's just a solid beater that good early, good late. I would play it not in only. Like, I'm not only playing this in my Selesnya decks. I'll just, like, put this in a white deck if I need a body and don't have any other 1-drops.
And I'm much more likely to play it in a white-blue deck that has, like, a number of Convoke spells, because starting with a 1-drop feels like cheating when you're then trying to cast a 4-mana Convoke spell at some point in the game.
Invasion of Pyrulia. I have not drafted blue-green at all. I like, don't know what that deck is. And I don't think I've even seen anyone play that against me.
So my experience with it has been, and I don't, you know, the invasion hasn't been a key part of it, but my blue-green experience has mostly been get as many Portent Trackers and Blighted Burgeonings as you can, get as many as far as dispersals as you can. You just end up in blue because the best 2 commons in the set are blue, which are the Preening Aven and Afara's Dispersal. And those fit in really well. Like you ramp and you just take an opportunity, you spend an extra mana to Afara's Dispersal, one of their things, and then you start casting your gigantic spells that your like Portent Tracker Blighted Burgeoning combo has enabled. That has mostly been my blue-green experience. I think that the like little mini synergy of like how many flipped permanents do you own doesn't really show up, but it's cute.
Yeah, because like I would maybe be interested in that in like a deck full of incubator tokens, but in blue-green, like you're not necessarily producing as many of those as you would in a white deck.
That is the nice thing about the like Blighted Burgeoning Portent Tracker combo, though, is like you get that free 2/2, and often when you go Portent Tracker into Burgeoning, you just get to flip the 2/2 for free, and that helps keep you from getting run over before you get the payoff of your ramping.
Lurrus of the Dream Den, a card we used to care about deeply, and now we don't get to play this beautiful version of it.
It is really funny that we get fancy versions of all the companions, and we're just not allowed to play with them.
Yeah. Okay, let's open another booster pack. Did that pack take us like 10 minutes?
Yeah. I mean, you can't stop us from talking about Magic cards.
Chris, this is going to be a 10-episode YouTube series.
I'm fine with that.
I told my wife, like, we're just going to do like 20, 30 minutes. And this is a YouTube video. It can't be that much longer than that, but...
I mean, we got to pick our pace through all the packs. If you want to flip through to the rares, you can. I don't know what we're thinking here. We can certainly skip any cards we've already talked about.
That's for damn sure. Okay. Redcap, Healed, Slasher. It's fine. It's whatever.
Yeah.
Backup one, first strike. Curve filler. Not exciting.
Red is bad enough in the set that, like, if I'm in red, I'm hoping that red was more open than it would be to make me put that card in my deck, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, Sigiled Sentinel, same thing. Like, this is If I'm in Knights, I'm definitely playing this probably, but like I'm not necessarily excited about it or going into Knights for this card. There's better Knights at 3 mana.
Nah, it's fine. You want to pick it up like 7th, 8th, ninth pick.
This card is really strange to me actually. Like I've never put it in my deck, but when my opponents do, it actually seems not bad. For finding a land and putting like 2 counters on a creature, like that's not irrelevant in a format where counters matter.
Anytime you manage to win a combat with that card, it does feel like the biggest blowout ever.
Yeah. Hello, one of the best blue commons, Affairs Dispersal. Play it. Just play it. This is like blue Doomblade.
It reads pretty good. You may not be the most into bounce spells, but you can always stick a bounce spell in your deck. But the Surveil, the 1 mana cost, and also the fact that a lot of times their biggest creature is a token, and that's what you would bounce anyway, and then it's just gone. Like they spent a whole card and 5 mana or whatever, and then 2 mana to flip it. This card's nuts. And it also beats every combat trick because it bounces the creature. It's very good.
Great removal spell. I'm playing any copy of this that I draft. Vanquish the Weak.
So because of the density of removal spells in black, I actually like my evaluation of this has accordingly lowered.
Oh, really?
It gets caught in a weird space between Deadly Derision and the 2 mana removal spell, which is excellent at killing small creatures for 1 mana less and kills like almost the same subset of creatures when it's not kicked, and then when it is kicked, it kills a lot of bombs and stuff, and it's not that hard to kick because you can sacrifice even like an unflipped token. Like Vanquish is fine, but I've found a lot of times when I've started taking Vanquishes mid-pack, I've looked at my deck at the end and been like, oh, I have 8 removal spells and nowhere to go with it. And so I've really like deprioritized Vanquish the Weak in my drafting.
Interesting. I'm just playing the 8 removal spell deck, to be honest. But
oh yeah, I mean, you want to. It's tempting, and I've been there. But
all right, Flywheel Racer. Not excited about this card.
No, it's always better on my opponent's side of the board. They're always like crewing it, hitting me. I can't block it, making exactly the mana they need that turn. It never really works out that well for me, though.
Man, this pack not exciting at all. Placid. I mean, that the blue card.
Yeah, we just take the Afara's Dispersal and we're happy with it.
So far, we're just taking Dispersal. Okay, I take it back. Like, if I can draft this card, I'm trying to force Knights. Like, this card is fantastic. The tap ability just has won me so many games.
The card is really strong. I will say, in a pick one, pack one situation, I probably take Afara's Dispersal over the Knight. Because Dispersal, even if you end up in Knights, like you're probably a little bit sad that you ended up with this guy over the Dispersal, but Dispersal's still excellent. And then if you end up in any other blue deck, then you're happy on you got the Dispersal. I love the Knight though; it's very strong.
This is another really good card that like is better in limited than I ever thought it would be. Like I thought this would be a constructed card, but it rules. Just giving your permanents hexproof is super relevant because removal is so important in the format. And there have been a non-zero number of times where I just like put it blindly in my deck, even in game one, and you just end up against like random black creatures or random red creatures, and then all of a sudden like you're just like winning a massive combat exchange and practically winning just like on the back of this one random white instant.
Yeah, I have gotten crushed by it for sure. It's worth playing in your deck.
This card is kind of whatever. Like I'll play it if I need a curve topper. Draws you a couple cards late in the game, which is not bad. The 2 life is not irrelevant, I don't think.
This is the card that saves your draft when you realize you've drafted 8 removal spells. Then you're like, let me get these 2 Phyrexian Gargantua that I got 8th pick and put them into my deck. And then you have an actual deck with a strategy at that point.
Yeah. All right. So I like this card too, to be honest. Order of the Mirror, particularly, so it being a knight on the front side is nice, but I like the back side as just like being a really good creature in combat if it's sticking around and you're able to like interact with bigger creatures against whom the -1/-1 isn't as important.
It's really hard to block and quite good at flipping battles.
Yeah.
Blue is so deep that this ends up being like the 10th or 11th best common or something, and it's totally reasonable. like it's a totally reasonable playable, but blue just has so many good cards that, I'm fine with Order of the Mirror, though. I've put a number in my decks.
So this card, there was some hype around this card, like the week or two after it was released. Someone mentioned to me in the Discord, in the Dive Down Discord, that this is like mom's ledger shredder. I don't think
Ledger Shredder at home.
Yeah, I don't think it really panned out that way. But I actually think it is good in limited too, and like I could see it being a decent card in constructed at some point potentially, like making a couple tokens with trample, giving all of your non-creatures
With trample.
Yeah.
The trample is legitimately just a tongue-in-cheek joke on that card, but
Yeah. But the back, like untapping all up to 4 creatures, like that's basically untap all of your creatures. Like,
yeah, if you can flip it, it's certainly contributing like a ton of mana to your game plan. I think it becomes very difficult to just the 3 mana costs on this thing and the things you could be doing for 3 mana otherwise stresses me out when trying to like put it into a deck. But I do get the quest there. The what this payoff is huge.
I have no experience with this card in this format.
It's good. It's very good. You have a lot of 1/1 tokens. You also have a fair number of creatures that just happen to have 1 toughness. There's the 3/1 knight that gets first strike when you've played a knight.
Yeah.
There's Order of the Mirror is a 2/1 when it's not flipped. But this card, if you have the right creatures in your deck, can be very good at flipping battles. And also just like you play it and you realize like, oh, I've just got 3 damage a turn that they can't block and they're gonna die now.
This is a Modern Horizon card, right? Like, isn't this MH1?
No, that's original, or that's Dominaria United.
Oh, okay. Who am I thinking about? There was someone that like kind of had this text in MH1. Am I crazy?
Oh no, original Dominaria. Sorry.
Oh,
I don't know.
You know what? That's probably what I'm remembering is just like original Dominaria era.
Yeah.
And like this being a 5-year-old card.
Sure.
Okay. Thrashing Frontliner. Mountain. Okay. Ooh. And a token. Okay,
Mountain's
so
good. Mountain's a great card.
Love a full art mountain.
Love
okay.
a mountain.
Look, it's 30 minutes later ish. We gotta wrap this video up, but I promised to open a collector booster.
Let's do a collector booster.
Between friends. So, what I didn't do is like talk about what I want to open in my cornucopia of packs. There's a handful of cards that I really want. I want Urabrask for a commander deck, for my Gears and Star commander deck. Okay.
Legit. Which Urabrask though?
Just Urabrask.
New Urabrask, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can open one of like many Urabrasks in this pack.
It's like 40 Praetors. I want Urabrask. I want the dinosaur, the Convoke dinosaur that is a 0 mana 20/20.
Yes. Yeah.
We want that.
That card rules. Have I ever told you about the time where my opponent played a Vorinclex and I killed it, and then they convoked out an Ancient Imperiosaur as a 14/14 and I killed it, and then they convoked out a second Ancient Imperiosaur as a 14/14 and it killed me. So that,
That's what it do.
So there's a couple of rares in this format. There's a handful of them.
What format did that exchange occur in?
Oh, that happened in Booster Draft.
Wow, someone had a great draft.
They did. It was really impressive.
Yeah. So I think there's more cards that I want. Oh yeah, Fairy Mastermind, of course.
Yeah.
We want to play. Yeah, we want to play Rogues.
Oh, we don't really want to play Rogues. I got to get you off that before you get on it.
Man, if we had more time, I would dissect your most recent episode of Grindcast where you guys are like, I'm not really interested in playing Rogues or Spirits, and I'm here like looking at my recently completed Spirits deck and like eyeballing like my Watering Graves that I've literally set aside 2 days ago. Like, but now we're on the creativity train now. I'm just gonna play whatever you tell me to, Chris.
Oh, I don't know that that's good for your health either. I can tell you what not to play. I don't know that telling you what to play is my game.
Okay, Alabaster Host Sanctifier.
Yep.
Blossoming Sands. Here we're looking for like the fun, exciting stuff. You're not drafting.
Yeah, we're looking at the foils though. It's a collector booster.
Yeah,
we'll take a peek.
Searing Barb. If we get like a nice, it's like not even a full art mountain. That's disappointing.
I do find the composition of collector boosters to be kind of odd because the mass of foil commons is just taking up space.
Yes.
And it's the collector boosters could be much cooler, I feel like.
Yeah, so what I've been doing with my foil commons is padding the cards that I'm selling on cardmarket.com, which is an awesome European marketplace that it's like if Americans had it, it would maybe blow TCG out of the water. It makes it really easy to sell singles.
And they don't have any union busting problems either. So
not that I'm aware of. No, they're not owned by eBay yet. So like I've had like a binder full of cards and like some good modern cards that I just know that I'm never going to play that I've listed on Card Market, and like someone bought my playset of Lightning Skelementals and I'm like, thanks. Now I'm going to buy some Torrential Gearhulks maybe. Oh, this is pretty. So yeah, I've been putting like random full art foil lands in there that like this is not a card that I'm ever going to sell to a vendor, and like maybe it makes a random buyer kind of happy.
Yeah,
will give me a good rating. Complete the circuit.
Oh yeah, that's like the card that shows up in your rare slot, and you're like, wait, is there any way that this card? No, I can't make this card castable in my draft deck.
This is a good card in draft, I think. Especially in the green-white deck where you are putting tokens, and like if you have like any backup synergies, you can play this in red-white too.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's a super threatening card when it comes down turn 2. You're terrified of that thing.
This is a commander card
Ooh.
that I've literally never seen before.
I'm sure I've never seen it either. This is
Rowan's
new to me.
Talent Enchant Planeswalker. It gives the Planeswalker a new +1 up to 1 target.
Oh yeah, there's a whole cycle of these.
2/0 against first strike and trample.
Yeah,
Cool.
these are cool. Cool design space. These enchant planeswalkers that give an additional ability to them, and also just like the enchantment kind of has an ability. Like this one copies your planeswalker's abilities, which is really neat. I also think that the art on all of these is incredible. I think I'm most partial to. I'm looking at them all right now. I can't even pick. The art is just really good. It's the best art of like each of the planeswalkers that they feature. So props to the artist for those.
You like this Rowan art? This
I
photorealistic.
really do.
It's not quite photorealistic, but
no, it's
not
pretty
cartoony
stylized.
either. Yeah. Inga Rune Eyes. It's kind of pretty.
Yeah, that's the one your opponent puts it in play, and you just have to be so careful in every combat that you're not just like letting it trade off and something else dies and then you just get buried.
Yeah. Quendi, Pride of Femeref.
Yeah, not enough first strikers in this set.
Hello.
Ooh.
This is kind of a cool, exciting card.
Is that a Thalia and the Gitrog monster?
Yes, it is.
Beautiful.
Play an additional land. This is another card you guys were just talking about how like it can be awkward to attack with this card sometimes, but eventually you get to the point where you have enough extra lands to make it worth it.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about it in the Bring to Light deck, which kind of goes through these specific phases of the game where you're fine not attacking with it for a little while because, you're not trying to close the game out as quickly as possible or anything. You're probably blocking with it, but then at some point you turn around and you're like, yeah, I can sacrifice a land to draw a card. That's totally fine. That deck gets flooded at some point.
Yeah.
I don't know that this ultimately finds a place in that deck. I do know that this card is very sweet though.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Anafenza Kintree Spirit. Remember this card?
Oh yeah, it was one of the
this,
original creature combo cards.
Is this what was after cons before dragons? Is this Fate Reforged?
Yes.
What a time to be alive. And a cool
just
token.
kind of the original, one of the earlier combos with persist creatures to let you persist as much as you wanted.
All right, so there we go. We opened some packs. We have so many more packs to go through. Chris, I had a lot of fun doing this. Will you make more of these with me one day?
I would love to, yeah.
Yeah? All right, cool. We have a new YouTube series born. We're
done.
The first annual. Maybe we don't wait every year to do it, but we have more set boosters. We have some more collector boosters. We have too many boosters.
Well, if we only do them one a year, then we get this like arc of interest, right? Once we're like 1-2 years away, then it's like, they're opening March of the Machine. What is happening right now? Once we're like 20 years down the line and we're like, we've got a 20-year-old pack of March of the Machine. Get ready, children. Then we've got some content.
That's right. Well, this was fun. Listen to Grindcast to get more CCR in your ears. You probably listen to the Dive Down since you're on our YouTube channel, but maybe you're new. Maybe you just wanted to watch someone crack packs, in which case, check out the Dive Down every Thursday. Until next time.
I highly recommend the Dive Down, and I give a cautious recommendation to the MTG Grindcast. You gotta, where it tastes, you gotta know that you're into. But if you are, come hang out.
I will be the one that's enthusiastic about Grindcast.
That's fine.
We can be enthusiastic about one another's shows. All right, thanks, buddy. Good talking to you. See you next time.
Thanks for having me.
Bye, everyone.
Later.